segments.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Here's your college football slate for Saturday, September 18th. Let's start off with the top 25. The Auburn Tigers at 7:30 Eastern will take on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Penn State is favored by 5. The over-under is 53. That game can be seen on ABC. At 3:30 Eastern, it's Bama at Florida in the Swamp. CBS kickoff is 3:30 Eastern. The over-under is 59.5. Alabama is a 14.5 point favorite. At 7 p.m. Eastern in Athens, Georgia, the Bulldogs are a 31.5 point favorite against the South Carolina Gamecocks. The over-under is 47.5. Georgia Tech, Clemson. Clemson is a 28 point favorite at home with the over-under at 52. That game's at 3:30 on ABC. At noon Eastern, you've got Michigan State traveling to Miami. Canes are a 6 point favorite. 56.5 is the over-under. On the Big Ten Network at noon Eastern, Northern Illinois is at Michigan, number 25 in the land. They're 2-0 and a 27.5 point favorite. The over-under is 54. The big one on Fox, Nebraska is at undefeated number 3 Oklahoma. The Sooners are a 22 point favorite with the over-under at 62. And the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, number 12 in the land and 2-0, host undefeated Purdue. The Irish are a 7 point favorite with the over-under sitting at 58. And Ohio State, 1-1 on the season, trying to bounce back against 0-2 Tulsa. They're a 24.5 point favorite. The over-under is 61. That game can be seen on FS1. At 7:30 Eastern on the ACC Network, Virginia at number 21, North Carolina. The Heels, 8 point favorites. 66.5 is the over-under. At noon Eastern, number 15, Virginia Tech, 2-0 on the year. They'll travel to Morgantown to take on the Mountaineers of West Virginia. The home teams got the 3 point favorite, and the over-under is 50.5. Undefeated UCLA and ranked number 13 in the country. They're an 11 point favorite at home against Fresno State. Over-under is 63. Cincinnati, number 8 in the country. They'll travel to Indiana. Should be a good one. Bearcats, 4 point favorites on the Hoosiers' home soil. 49.5 is the over-under. At 8 Eastern on ESPN2, number 17 Ole Miss, they host Tulane. The Green Wave is getting 14 points. The over-under sits at 76. And the Fighting Herm Edwards from Arizona State, number 19 in the country, they're undefeated at the undefeated BYU Cougars coming off their big upset against Utah. Arizona State is still a 4 point favorite in Provo, with 51.5 being the over-under. And the Iowa State Cyclones are a 31.5 point favorite at UNLV. 52 is the over-under. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Hyperbole is done. Now we can finally play the game. It is the third Saturday in October, and the show is on one more time in Knoxville, Tennessee.
We are live in Tallahassee, the capital of the great state of Florida.
There's no law against scalping tickets in this part of the country, and premium prices have been paid. That's Desmond Howard going in motion on 2nd down and 5 for Michigan, playing on real grass at Michigan Stadium. Throw it to the sideline. It is intercepted. Florida State was sitting and waiting for it, and Terrell Buckley has scored a touchdown. How do you do?
All right, here we go.
56-yarder. It's got, no, does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game.
They're still in deep trouble in midfield. They tackle him. The ball is still loose as they get it to Rodgers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going to go in the end zone. But the bands are out on the field. There were flags all over the place. The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California.
In trouble in the backfield, wants to throw now, and he's going to go deep. And I mean deep, and I mean touchdown, Florida! Tyree Cleveland in a miracle finish. A Hail Mary that's full of grace for the Gators.
Barkley trying to bounce it, and does escape. Saquon Barkley in the clear. Still got it. Saquon Barkley all the way to the end zone. Electric, 79 yards.
It's a 31-30 game, and what does Nebraska do?
I have not seen the kicker come on the field, and I don't think he's coming on the field. Tom Osborne made this decision a long time ago. He's decided to go for two and take his shot at winning. I commend him for it.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
And if in 48 seconds they become the winner, they certainly deserve to be national champions.
Here come the Seminoles of Florida State, one of the great traditions in college football, and this becoming one of the nation's favorite rivalries. It's a battle for bragging rights and recruiting advantages in the state of Florida as the Gators come calling, and Chief Osceola ready to get it started. College football, a matchup from the state of Florida. It's the Gators against the Seminoles on an overcast day in Tallahassee.
Moody flushed, throws it down. Caught by Boston College. I don't believe it.
Today, we've got number 1 Seminoles against number 2 Hurricanes. They meet in the capital city of Tallahassee.
Good morning. How the hell is everyone this morning? I, for one, am very tired. I will not lie. Bringing Bobby onto the show. For y'all who don't know what I'm talking about, I did my first play-by-play broadcast in 7 years last night. I did the Atlanta Braves San Francisco Giants game last night. We did it here on YouTube. And long story short, the game is moving along pretty quickly. Morning, Bobby. He's still trying to wake up. Yeah. Yes.
I think it might have been something with the mic because it was really
Is that better?
a little bit. It's still pretty iffy.
Describe what iffy means.
It's like really I don't know. It's like really scratchy, I guess, and loud.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. That's much better.
Yeah. It's something to do with, and I wasn't going to play the intro, but you were late, so I had to try to buy time in some ways. I'm glad you got some sleep in, you lazy bastard.
I'm glad you called me because it slept straight through the alarm.
Yeah,
I didn't hear it.
I guess you did, son. I was up broadcasting a game by myself until 2 a.m. last night as the Braves and Giants went into extra innings. Did a play-by-play game for the first time, and I've first time done play-by-play in well over 15 years. I'm trying to remember the last time I'd done one, but I know it's been at least 15 years. And Braves Giants, they were moving right along. The Braves had a 3-run shot to take the lead. And son of a gun, if we don't end up getting the damn game goes into extra innings because Will Smith is a terrible closer. You can't even call him a closer at this point. He's a guy who pitches late in the games and gives up home runs. And so he gives up a home run shot. We go into the 11th inning. I'm telling you right now, I'm dragging. But I'm glad you got a good, 14 hours of sleep. Jeez,
something like that.
Oh my God. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm like I said, I'm tired, but I will make it. The show must go on. Well, by the way, for anyone who's curious about how that went down last night, we had a lot of views, a lot more than I thought we were going to get. And I'm definitely doing that in the very near future. I haven't decided what games we're going to do next, but I'll get with the guys off air if anyone wants to join me. But we had a lot of views. I was surprised off the YouTube, and then off the Colorcast app. It was a decent amount considering it was such a late game. I would say that we had a decent amount of listeners there, but definitely was worth it off of YouTube. So anyways, thank you for anyone that I see people saying great. And the thing is, I don't even feel like I did a great job because I was first of all, I was new to the Colorcast app itself. So I was trying to play the game of holding their app and broadcasting on a regular microphone. And then I was getting texts from them trying to give me little tidbits or whatnot. I'm like, man, I don't have time to read this stuff while I'm watching the game and broadcasting at the same time, and I'm by myself, right? So it's one thing if I had a color guy sitting next to me and I could, kind of look off to the side while he's talking. But I mean, I'm rolling this thing by myself. So at some point I had to just not look at the app and just do the game as I know to do it. And what I didn't realize until much later in the game, which is how we're going to do it from now on, is we're going to treat it like it's a radio broadcast. Like you can't see anything, because evidently most of the people that were listening could not see the game. They had the Colorcast set up to where you can pair it up with the device, and you can, so if you're sitting at home and you don't like to hear the particular broadcast, you can listen to a fan do the game, is the theory. Well, what I found out down the road in the middle of the broadcast, and I guess it makes sense, it didn't dawn on me. There were people just listening to the broadcast that did not have the ability to see the game at all. So that's why they were listening to the broadcast. And so that must have been why we got so many views. And we got a lot of views overnight. A lot of people watched it when it wasn't live. So I guess for people out west, with it being the Giants, it makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. So definitely going to look into doing some football. So we'll talk to everyone off air, anyone that's interested in doing it with me, because I had a lot of fun. It'd be a lot more fun with somebody, because it was like, wow. But I was like, are you kidding me? We're in the 11th inning. Are you serious right now? It's 2:00. Are you serious? Oh, you can't be serious. I felt like John McEnroe. You can't be serious.
Not a good game to go to extra innings.
I got maybe four-ish hours of sleep. I'm like, oh, this is brutal. I knew I was going to be up against it with it being a late kickoff. I mean, a first pitch with us doing this morning, but I did not expect the thing to go into extra innings. I was like, of course it did. I mean, why wouldn't it? As they call it, Murphy's Law. The first time I tried to do this Thursday, the game was delayed, and then they ended up call it a postponement 3 hours later. So I sat here in the studio for 3 hours for no reason, and I was like, okay, so this is how it's going to start. and then last night, I mean, stupid Will Smith. He's terrible. Braves lost, by the way. Giants won. Giants gained a game on the Dodgers. The Dodgers lost last night to the Reds. And also in the NL East, the Phillies beat the Mets. So they're now just 2 games behind Atlanta, and they're coming. Atlanta's got a tough road this road trip, and Philadelphia's got it easy cheesy. So the Braves better get it together, and better get it together fast. Michael said he did link it up with MLB.TV after the game. Well, cool. By the way, that UCF game, man, did you catch that?
Yeah, I saw the ending of it. I saw the pick six for the win. That was just something.
I could see it out of the corner of my eye. I'm doing the game and I look over and I go, oh my God.
I'm not really sure who to blame on that one, the receiver or Dylan Gabriel, because it looked like, I mean, it kind of went through the receiver's hands at the same time. Gabriel kind of zipped it on a short pass.
I wish I could sit here and tell you, oh, here comes Tony on.
No, okay.
I didn't see him over there. That's an issue when we're broadcasting and someone joins the room. I don't see it because the mothership's off to the side. And so unless someone chimes in on Facebook, I mean, on, YouTube and says, hey, I'm in the room, I may not see. I believe we have Tony. Tony, how the heck are you this morning, sir?
What's up, man? How are you guys?
I'm extremely tired after the Braves game, but doing well. How about you?
The dog alarm clock woke us up at 4, and luckily I was able to get back to sleep, but should be good to go once the caffeine kicks in here in a little bit.
Yeah, 4 a.m. was probably about the time I hit the REM cycle, finally. Unbelievable.
I tell you, I've never done – that was awesome what you were doing last night. I was able to listen for a little bit.
Thank you.
You're probably like me, even like attending a game, even if it's like local or down in Gainesville, especially like basketball when it's like a Wednesday night or something like that. By the time you get home, it still takes you like a good like hour or two to like actually wind down. And
yes.
I think for somebody doing play-by-play or something like that for a game, not just watching as a fan, that takes even longer because you got so much stuff just kind of it's going through your head at different times. And, did I do that right? And that kind of thing. And, how many people are listening and what can I do for next time? And then all of a sudden, like 2 hours later, you hadn't fallen asleep yet. So I definitely get it. And
what also surprised me after I got off, I went to go look back at the video to see if it ran correctly, and I was shocked to see how many views we had at the time, and then we got even more overnight because I'm sure it was Giants fans tuning in late night. But that got my head going. I was like, man, why haven't I been doing this before? But it never occurred to me to do it. So we will be doing it in the future. Going to try to hit some, and there were some things that ran into my mind. I was like, I'm constantly hearing people say they can't get the NFL Thursday night football game because it's on NFL Network. So that's an option as well. But that was the first time I'd done a game by myself in a long time. I think it was the first time I'd done a game in about 15-ish years. But the last time I remember doing a baseball game by myself, it was in a pinch. The girl that was doing play-by or color commentating with me, this was in college. That's how long ago it was. She was dating one of the baseball players, and there was a huge infamous brawl that broke out in a volunteer state, Gallatin, where Gallatin's community college, Vol State, they break out in this huge brawl in the opposing team. I mean, we're talking about bats were brought out. They were hitting coaches. It was nuts. And the girl that I'm sitting next to in the booth, she starts screaming bloody murder because her boyfriend's in the middle of this fight, forgetting she's on the air. And I'm slowly having to stay professional as I can. And, this is long before a lot of the technology exists today. So I've got a wired mic that I'm trying to inch her out the door, finally close the door, and I have to lock it because I don't want her to come back in because she's cursing on air on live radio. And I'm like, and we're back. I mean, it was a major league moment is what it was. It was like, what had just happened here? I didn't realize that she was dating the guy until afterwards when she told me about it. I was like, oh, my God. But anyways, that's the last time I remember doing a baseball game by myself, and both pitchers worked really fast, and I thought I was going crazy at first. I was like, man, there's like no downtime in between pitches. Then finally I realized Logan Webb and Ian Anderson are both fast pitchers, and they're just constant. There was no downtime. There was no, okay, he's picking up the rosin bag and all that kind of junk. It was, you would think that both of them were about to miss a plane or something. They were just pitch after pitch after pitch. When they finally made the pitching changes, I was so glad to see a couple of guys come in that were taking their time. I can catch my breath.
Yeah.
All right,
I was gonna say try doing Red Sox when every pitch takes 10 minutes, it seems like. And I was looking at the matchups for that series, and the Braves go against one of my boys Sunday, DeSclafani, who pitched for the Gators a little bit. Actually, he never even got to be a weekend starter. He really wasn't there long enough. He was a Tuesday, Wednesday kind of guy, but he's had a couple of really good years. Yeah,
he's had a heck of a year this year. I mean, I felt like the Braves' best chance to win is today against the Giants, and that they needed to win last night if they wanted to win the series. I don't think that the Fried goes on Sunday, but I don't have a lot of faith in Fried.
Well, they hit Disco pretty hard last time out, I think, a few weeks ago.
Well, that's not going to help.
Yeah,
that just means he's going to come in ticked off.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I assume that you're on your way to Gainesville. Let's get into Gators and Bama, as I hear that's a pretty big game today. Apparently, it's actually going to be on television. So the game right now, I'm curious to see, because I have not looked at the lines. Yesterday, the line was at 14.5, and I'm pulling it up now on the updated spread. But the over under was 60.5. And let me see what we have here. Floor still 60.5 and still 14.5. I'm surprised. I thought it would have moved up or down one way or the other. It almost feels like that they're trying to sucker you into taking the Gators plus 14.5, trying to keep you on that. Because if they really wanted you to jump on Bama, they would have lowered it down to less than 2 touchdowns. So I feel like they're trying to sucker people. I'm staying away from the spread. I do think the over under, I do think it's going to be a high scoring game no matter who wins. What say you, Tony?
I'm right at 59 on my prediction. I'm at 38-21 Alabama. So but yeah, I'm with you. I think a break here and there in Florida probably puts another touchdown on the board, and a mistake here and there by Florida and Bama probably puts another touchdown on the board. So I could easily see this game going over as well. The only other caveat is how much it's going to rain today, and it's nice out now, but it's supposed to be between a 60% chance of rain, I think, for most of the game. And I know we're loaded up with ponchos, so we'll see how that affects it. Florida really can't afford to make any mistakes. Really has to protect the football and hope that Alabama makes a couple. So, if it's a slow paced game and that kind of thing, that's about the only thing I think that'll hurt the over under. But really, I mean, it won't be like last year's SEC championship game playing on turf and, both teams trying to keep up with each other. It's either, it could be a slogfest, but I really think I think Vegas probably has it right. It's going to be within that over under, I think, within about 3 points either way.
I'm pulling up the weather right now for the local radar in Gainesville. And yeah, it's looking like around 50% chance, which means very good chance it's going to rain. If it says 50% chance in Florida, it means it's going to rain all throughout the entire, from kickoff all the way till about 10 o'clock tonight. It looks like it's going to be scattered thunderstorms. So hopefully we don't get a delay.
Right.
That's my biggest concern. As far as the weather, as long as it's not a downpour, I wouldn't think it would affect it much. But I will say this: I think this might hurt Florida more than it does Bama, because we all know Bama's going to like to mash it and use their 700-pound linemen to just create their own will. Taking Florida plus 14.5 seems even sketchier to me now, because I think if Florida's going to win, it's going to have to be Richardson. It's going to have to be through the air, not primarily, but they're going to have to move the ball through the air. If it turns into a ground game, I have to favor Alabama in this.
Yeah, and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna need help. And if both teams are gonna be running the ball, Florida's offensive line against Alabama's defensive line isn't exactly a matchup I'm really looking forward to. Their front four and front seven, whether Will Anderson plays or not, that's the teeth of their defense, and their secondary is coming along. But that's a tough matchup for us. We just got to get the ball, whether it's Emory or if we get Richardson, even if in limited capacity, if it is a passing situation, or you can feel free to throw the ball on first down. I think just get the ball to the outside quickly. Try and get some of these guys in space. The tight ends have zero touches and like 2 targets maybe through the first 2 games. So they've got to get involved somehow too. Like I said before, like nobody on this team is Kyle Pitts, but like Zipperer and a couple of these other tight ends can be good, just not elite. But they've got to have an impact too. And maybe we'll see a little bit more of Bowman, the Clemson transfer, who was a big shot 5-star recruit a couple of years ago. Maybe they'll try and get him in space a little bit. Copeland's had a couple good games, so he's become kind of the downfield threat. And then Justin Shorter being the underneath guy. Xavier Henderson's a super fast guy that has just had like quick limited touches so far, but maybe they find a way to get him going. And he had a pretty nice punt return against I think it was FAU in that first game. So maybe we'll make a play on special teams, but we haven't tried a field goal yet this year. And so I guess we'll try our first one here shortly. The punting hasn't been great. So if it comes down to special teams, Alabama finally has a kicker that's really good, which is kind of crazy.
Because that's what they need. That's what Alabama needs, right?
They haven't years. This guy makes everything. So
right. Bobby's
got right.
Bobby, Florida, Alabama. I know you're a big Gator fan, as is Tony. What do you think about this game? Where do you think it's heading?
Yeah, I'm not going to sit up here and say that I think we're going to win. I think we will be within 14.5 though. But yeah, I think the weather will have, if it does rain quite a bit, I think it'll have an impact on this game. But I do like our running back group a lot. I like Naquan Wright a lot specifically. I like Bowman. I like Malik Davis. He was solid. Overall, there's a lot of talent back there. And in the passing game, I'm hoping we can get Anthony Richardson in sooner rather than later. I'm hoping he just outright starts, but I'm not really putting any bets on that. I don't think it'll happen. But I do like Copeland. I like Henderson. I like Whittemore. Shorter, he's solid. There's been some drops that are some concerns, but overall, I do like this offense, and I think we can hang with Alabama. I don't think we can beat them, but I do think we can hang. And the defense, we did lose Ventrell Miller, which will hurt. But overall, they've looked solid in the past couple games.
I would be shocked if it's not Richardson getting the majority of the snaps. I mean, look, I still say that he got pulled out of the game because the game was out of reach, and he's the actual starter, and that's why they were pulling him. Mm-hmm. Mullen's going to give you that coach speak on, try to play the mind game of who's the starter, who's not the starter, all that kind of stuff. But the simple fact of the matter is, if his guy was Emory Jones, then you would have pulled Emory Jones out of the game late to make sure he didn't get whacked, right? So because you had the game put away, you're not worried in any shape or form about that, and the last thing you want is an injury to your starting quarterback. So it's almost like you put him back out there hoping he got hurt. It's gonna make my job a lot easier if you can't play.
I'll feel a lot better about potentially winning this game if Richardson starts.
And it wouldn't even shock me if Emory Jones takes the first snap per se, but but for all intents and purposes, I believe Richardson is your actual starter. He might have a trick play designed where he wants Emory Jones involved in the first play, right? So it's just Tony, you remember the days? I guess we lost Tony for a second. He's coming back in. Okay. Tony, you remember the days of Terry Dean and Werfel? I don't think it's that situation, do you, where it's going to be like a split down the middle? I think it's going to be a situation where Richardson's going to be the starter and Emory Jones is going to be able to do wildcat type stuff.
I think long term, I think that's the way it'll be. I think for today, I think you'll get Emory start and then have. If Richardson's hamstring is good enough for him to go, and I keep getting the feeling it'll be good enough for him to go. I just really don't want him to re-aggravate, and all of a sudden we don't have him for the next 4 weeks, and then Georgia is in 6 weeks. So I just don't want to lose him long term. But I do think you want to have Richardson as don't fall behind, but you don't want Richardson to start. If he stinks it up, then you bring in Jones. You're like, oh God, what are we doing now? So. whatever you're going to do, like go ahead and do it. But for Dean and Werfel, like Spurrier's approach was really when Werfel was a freshman and Dean was a junior in '93. Basically, like Dean played well the first game. The second game, I think, was Kentucky, and we threw like 6 interceptions that night. And it just happened to be that Dean threw the last of the interceptions. So it was kind of Werfel's turn on that last drive. And that's when he hit Doring for the game-winning touchdown and stuck with Werfel pretty much the rest of the year until the Georgia game. And Werfel couldn't throw in the rain for whatever reason. And Dean came in and I think kind of finished up the year that year. And they alternated a little bit too. But Spurrier was just whoever didn't make the last mistake was going to be the quarterback. So that's kind of how he approached it. Mullen's approach is much different. We might not have ever seen Kyle Trask play as a leader if Franks didn't get hurt, because we were losing to Kentucky. Franks hurts his ankle. Trask brings us back. We win the game, but Franks was out of the season. So Mullen didn't have a choice. But who knows? Like, if that didn't happen, maybe Franks is the quarterback for the rest of that year. We never really see how good, Kyle Trask ended up being. So Mullen's almost loyal to a fault, and that comes into play with assistant coaches, I think, as well, especially the coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
was Terry Dean was Terry Dean the quarterback in the game against Auburn, or had Werfel already become the starter? I feel like Terry Dean was the starter.
In '93, Werfel started, and I remember this because we were up 10-0 at Auburn's 4-yard line, and Spurrier called a running play. Werfel audible out of it, threw a pick six. All of a sudden, it was 10-7, and Auburn ended up winning the game. But if we go up 17-0, there's no chance Auburn wins. The next year in the Swamp was when Frank Sanders had that catch at the end of the game, and Dean played most of it and threw 2 of the worst interceptions you'll ever see. And then Werfel played the Georgia game the next week, and then Werfel played against FSU, and then he hurt his knee against FSU. So if I remember right, he was just okay for that Sugar Bowl in '94. But it was back and forth between the two. I think Spurrier really didn't like Dean all that much. I think Dean was Werfel's super coachable, and you could tell just the way Werfel still talks today. Like, he's super laid back. He's not afraid to take criticism, and you have to have thick skin to play under Spurrier.
What I don't like about seeing Werfel nowadays is he's bald. It just makes me feel old. I'm like, man, no, say it ain't so, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. But Dean, I think, was coachable. I think Dean's dad was a little bit too involved in Spurrier liking and that kind of stuff. But it all worked out. Dean was in the Heisman race for a little bit in early '94, and then came out of the Heisman.
Tony, your audio is breaking up really bad, so we'll go ahead and let you get heading towards Gainesville. But before you jump off, give me a score and give me your stupid underdog pick, because we're going to do it here in a few minutes. There's about 3 or 4 of y'all tied at the bottom anyway, so we'll let you go first.
I'll probably steal somebody's pick. I'll take my Gators in the stupid underdog pick.
Okay.
I was going over the Shands Bridge. That might be why I was talking a little bit. But yeah, I'll take Florida this weekend just in case.
And you're sticking with 38-21 Bama?
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, enjoy the game, and we'll see you next Friday.
All right, sounds good. I'll be listening on my way down. Take care.
All right, man. Thanks. That was Tony Agolini, excuse me. He is heading to the Florida-Alabama game. Of course, a huge game. CBS kicks off the SEC season. We welcome on Mr. Angelo. Angelo, how are you this morning, sir?
I'm all right. I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm on fumes. I'm tired from last night's broadcast, but I am doing. I'm excited about today's games. And it's funny, when I went to lay down last night, I was like, well, I'll get sleep. I was like, I'm not gonna sleep. College football, I never sleep on Saturdays, even if I wanted to. I'm like, no, there's no way, man, because the games get rolling early today. Noon, you got Miami, Michigan State, and of course, then you've got the both Florida State and Florida play at 3:30, and then Penn State, Auburn comes on at 7:30. We got a full day of college football, and I'll just have to go on fumes as well be at. Other SEC games real quick before we dive into the ACC. One of them that I do want to jump on before we go over to, we're going to talk Penn State versus Auburn here in a bit. Our Penn State fan Tones will be joining us here very shortly, and there's not a lot of big SEC matchups, but one of the strangest ones, and I'm going to go ahead and just throw this out here. This is my lock. South Carolina getting 31.5 points at Georgia. And I get it that Georgia is really good, but has South Carolina gotten that bad where they are 31.5 points worse than what Georgia is? They play in the same conference. I don't even remember seeing Vanderbilt being a 31-point underdog. It really boggles my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't everyone talk at once.
You're in charge. I don't want to cut off your cut you off, man.
Well, I'm with you though. You don't typically see SEC games with lines like that. That's pretty wide.
I know South Carolina's lost a lot, and they have a brand new coaching staff, et cetera, et cetera. But man, you'd think there'd be some enough talent there to where you don't get boat raced in a divisional game. A game that for years you always see South Carolina pulling the upset against Georgia in some of these games. Not when the line's this big, but when everyone thinks South Carolina has no shot. It just seems like it's always been a really close, hard-fought rivalry. Man, if you get beat by 40 points to Georgia, did you make the right hire? Like what is going on there in South Carolina? All right, we'll move on from that. Florida State, Wake Forest. I thought that would get more traction. I guess I'm the only one that's interested in that. Florida State is getting 4.5. It was at 5.5 at Wake Forest. Now I took it when it was at 5.5, 4.5. I'm less likely. I like having the weird number in my favor. Florida State's getting the points in Wake Forest. Wake Forest, we all know, Wake Forest has been a thorn in Florida State's side for years, and now they're the favorite. Angelo, what say you on this game? We're expected for a fairly high-scoring game, the over-under 62, so the experts have it marked at Wake Forest 38, Florida State 20. Wake Forest 33-28 over Florida State is the guesstimated score. What say you, sir?
I mean, who knows with this Florida State team? Ultimately, last week we thought we were turning the corner after the Notre Dame game. Obviously we saw what happened. Granted, there was a lot of stupid mistakes that we made, from silly drops to missing open receivers to obviously that last play call. I think everyone was at fault ultimately from that game. Today, I mean, I don't know. I was thinking long and hard about this game, and I think it could be a game that Florida State could come out and get blown out. Florida State could come out and blow out Wake Forest. You never know with Florida State. I think it's going to be an important game for Norvell. I think this is going to be a game where if we lose and we go 0-3, we start off 0-3. I think Norvell will start being on the hot seat. You keep hearing people say, you have to give him time. You have to see what he's doing. But over the last,
you heard that same crap with Willie Taggart too, right?
Right.
Now, the one caveat I will say this, and this is the same time period that Willie Taggart had, but I don't count last year the way I would count a normal year. I just don't.
Right.
2020 was a weird year, and we'll just leave it at that. But I look at him having about a half a season under his belt as opposed to a full season. I mean, what did we lose? 2 or 3 games to not even being able to have them played and being postponed. And remember there was 2 incidents where Florida State didn't even play a game. We found out that morning, I believe. I know there was at least one.
That was Clemson.
There was Clemson. I felt like there was a second game that they either found out the morning of, or maybe it was the night before. So I feel like we lost at least 2 games to where one of them ended up getting postponed. I think they ended up playing 9 total. So they and I think we were scheduled to play 11. We were going to play the 10 ACC games, and then we had Jacksonville State. So, good for us. We actually won that game last year versus Jacksonville State. Things are going in the right direction. When you can split with Jacksonville State, you're on the rise. Jesus. So anyways, I feel like that this is about a half a year under his belt. He's coming to the home stretch on what would essentially be a full year. And the Jacksonville State loss was just embarrassing. What infuriated me more than anything else, while going back and watching the replay of it, not noticing it at the very moment that it happened, is the lackluster effort the secondary had trying to catch the guy for the touchdown. There was like light jogging, like, oh well, he scored.
I don't think they knew what was. I think I don't know. I mean, you would assume they.
Why were they not in prevent?
Well, I mean,
that was dumbfounding.
Right, he was playing not to give up 20 yards to go in field goal range. He didn't think.
Well, worst case scenario, that's all they could have done was tie the game up.
Right. I think
what was there 6 seconds left? I think.
Time 7. I think it was 7 seconds because they could.
So regardless, time expired as he ran in the end zone. Right?
I think, and as when he caught the ball, there was like 1 second left.
Right. So, anyways, somewhere between 6 or 7 seconds left when the ball was snapped. The point is, you don't have much of a chance of getting a play, getting a first down, timeout with that kind of yardage, and setting up for a field goal, anyways.
I think if they had gotten 10 more yards, it would have been like a 50-yard field goal. I think that Norvell assumed that they were only going to go like a 5 and out or 10 and out, get out of bounds.
It's 4th down, wasn't it?
What, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was 4th. That was 4th down, and it was at least 10 to go. And anyways, my point is, they should have been playing safeties back. It should have been like a Tampa 3 played way back, and they look like a bunch of buffoons out there. There's no way Mickey Andrews gets caught with his pants down like that, right? Because the one thing you're looking at is you've got the better talent. The worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to go to overtime, right? And then I should be able to will myself to a win. But when you do that, I'm sorry, but he got out coached. The head coach of Jacksonville State said, "Screw it, let's just go for the jugular. What are we doing? We want to go to overtime with Florida State? Nah, we're probably not going to win. Let's just go for the jugular." And they had, hey guys, there's no reason why guys should be chasing him. They should have been coming up to him.
If anything, pull him down, face mask, anything, get a penalty.
Right, but you saw guys like lightly jogging past him as he's going in the end zone, like no effort, and then once again, there should have been 3 safeties back there. There should have been 3 safeties playing deep. Your heels on the 10-yard line, where the worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to complete a long pass. And really something too, if he completes a long pass and tries to make a couple of moves because you're not on them right, the time's going to expire anyways. It's just, it was terrible coaching. And it was for the first time that I watched Norvell and said, he may not be as sharp as everyone thinks he is.
Yep.
He's a borderline moron is what I would call him.
The saving grace is when you look at, there's 2 seasons I'm looking at right here. So I'm looking at the 2010 Virginia Tech season. They lost their first game in a neutral field to Boise State. Close game, 33-30. They lost by 3, right? Sound familiar? Right. Then the next week they go on and lose to FCS James Madison, who's number 12 at that time. I
remember that well.
And I believe that in the broadcast they mentioned that
it was the same setup too. And I've talked about this for years. Florida State will play a Sunday night or a Monday night game and then turn around and play a game on Saturday against a nobody, right?
Yep.
They don't think about the fact, the emotions and the energy that it drains on you. And it drains on you big time with that. Let me get rid of it.
And then Virginia Tech goes on and wins the ACC. So there's hope.
We're starting to look like the Brady Bunch. It's like, okay, there we go. I get what you're saying, and I like where you're coming from, but there was a lot more talent on those rosters back then because it was Bowden. It was Bowden's recruits that were there. That was 2010, right?
Well, that was Virginia Tech. In 2009, we lost to Miami.
Oh, I'm thinking, okay, sorry.
You're probably thinking of the 2009 season when we lost to Miami to open the year. Then we barely got by Jacksonville State. Then we had to go at BYU. People thought we were going to get blown out.
And we blew them out.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. But there's been a handful of times where Florida State plays on a Sunday night or Monday night, and then they play what is supposed to be a bozo 4 or 5 days later. And everyone's like, oh, you got the better team. But these aren't NFL players. And these kids, they're kind of going through the motions, and you get caught with your pants down. Welcoming on to the show is Mr. Tones Ariola. Tones, how the hell are you this morning, sir? Well, is it something I said? I lost him there for a second. I don't know if he's coming back in or not. We will see. I guess he dropped out altogether accidentally. All right. We will go ahead. Where do you see this game at, Angela? What's the score?
I was gonna say I see it on ESPN too, maybe. Bad humor.
Thankfully, we won't be singing with Beth Mowins. I double checked. She's doing the Memphis State game, or Memphis versus Mississippi State game.
We got RG3 instead.
RG3's broadcasting now?
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay.
Where do I see the game? I could see. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be as high scoring as the experts. I think the key is to get the running game going. I mean, Jashawn Corbin has looked great. Last game, he got 15 carries.
What in the world is going on with all right, we got Tones coming in and out. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say we gotta get the running game going. Jashawn Corbin's looked great, but for some reason we keep giving the ball off to other running backs. Corbin got 15 carries the last 2 games for 100 yards, 140 yards. Norvell's giving the ball to Toafili, who's gotten last game, I think he got 10 carries for 20 yards, right? So I think we just need to pound the running game. We're not going to be a team that's going to be throwing 200, 300 yards.
You finally come on board and realize that this should be the Milton show.
Right. Milton show and allow play action, handoffs. Just keep the ball.
Milton dropped the pass, an easy touchdown, begin to start the game. And then they immediately started going back to Travis. I'm like, what are you doing? That had nothing to do with Milton, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? He's obvious. It's so obvious to anybody with 2 eyes and a brain that Milton is by far the better quarterback. You still keep Travis involved in the game plan so he doesn't get, become an issue. But also, if you've got a game plan for Travis, like I've been saying for weeks, if you got a game plan for Travis and Milton, you've got to be worried about some kind of a package. When they do this stupid wildcat and they use a running back, why in the heck aren't they using Travis? You're just trying to get a yard. It makes it much more dangerous for the defense to have to go, well, he could chuck it, right? He could throw it. When it's the tailback, they're like, we're not worried about if a tailback throws. If he throws, he's probably going to throw like a dying duck over into the tight end area.
I don't know why we keep doing that dumb play. It doesn't work one.
It hasn't worked since the week after Ronnie Brown scorched the Patriots. Everyone figured out how to shut down the Wildcat. It worked a little bit in the Dalvin Cook days, but that's it. What's the score?
All right, I'll be quick. I'll go. I think Florida State's going to win. I'm going to go 31-17.
30. Whoa, man. I hope you're right. I'm hoping I'm being able to, because it's kicking off at the same time as Florida, Alabama. All right, we're going to try this again. Welcoming on to the show is Tones Ariola. Tones, how are you?
Good. I'm sorry, gentlemen, for the technical difficulties this morning. It took me a couple tries to get the old speaker going. It wasn't working at first. My apologies.
I don't know who that chick was that you had in your room that was talking, but
she snuck out.
To leave. Just tell her to pipe down.
No, she's gone. No, I'm just kidding. It was some stupid test thing I was doing for my speaker to make sure I could hear you guys.
I can hear it now. I'm going to get cancel cultured from all the females. All right. So anyways, all right, let's go ahead and do our stupid underdog picks. If you're just joining us, y'all, Tony went ahead and took the Gators. He was having some audio issues. So we wanted to go ahead and get him off as he's heading to Gainesville that's why we're not seeing him right now. He's in 2 games, but he's going to be at the Florida Alabama game. Should be a lot of fun. So he took Florida plus 14.5. I forgot to ask him, so I'm going to assume that that's also his lock. If he's taking that as I would think that's his lock. So we'll just assume that that's his lock plus 14.5 as well. All right, stupid underdog picks. So the way the standings sit right now is we've got after last week, Tones, Bobby, and Tony are all at -2 as their picks did not cover the spread. And Angelo, you did cover the spread with Colorado. You just didn't get the full 17. That was close. That was almost a really good pick. So you're sitting at +2. Tones, Bobby, and Tony are -2, and I pulled a rabbit out of the hat and got Oregon on 14.5 on the money line, and they get the W. So I'll have to try to salt that away, and hopefully I don't eat at it over the next few weeks, not covering the spread. So I got a good healthy lead at the beginning, but I've seen this thing swing like a pendulum so many times, so it doesn't take long. All right, so all the guys who are tied for last, Tony's already picked his 14.5 with the Gators. Let's start with you. I think we let Tones go first. So we'll go Bobby first this week, and then we'll go Tones. Bobby, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I'm going to take Central Michigan against LSU. It's a 19.5-point spread. I think Central Michigan, they might not win.
That kickoff?
That is at, let me pull it up real quick. That's at 6:30 Central Time, so a little bit of a late game.
Okay.
But yeah, I have Central Michigan at least getting within 19.5. I think they can do that. They have total yards per game. They have 495. That ranks 36th in the country. Both teams are 1-1. This seems like a game I think that LSU could I think they'll ultimately win, but I think it'll be a lot closer than the experts predict. I think it'll be one of those games that everybody tunes into because the team looks like they're on upset watch. And yeah, I think Central Michigan will keep it fairly close.
That's an interesting one. It's too rich for my blood going into Death Valley, but that's an interesting.
I want to go for the big points.
It's all about the Chippewas today. All right, so that takes us over to Tones. Interested to see where you're going tonight. I'm sure you're not going with the Auburn Tigers to pull the upset. So where are you going for your stupid underdog today?
Not quite going with the Auburn Tigers. I think PSU gets a big one, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm going with the nightcapper. I'm going with the 9:30 kickoff, and I bet on these guys last week. They covered the spread in a hard atmosphere. I took UNLV spread last week against Arizona State, and that paid off. So I'm going with UNLV at home against Iowa State. UNLV is getting 33.5 points this week. That's actually less than they were getting on the road at Arizona State last week, where they covered. Iowa State is not used to playing this late of football games. UNLV is licking their chops for this one. 33.5 points at home. UNLV has taken 2 tough losses to start the year, but I think, they might lose by 30, they might lose by 31, but they're going to cover the spread in this one for sure. I'm going with UNLV here.
So you're actually giving them a shot to win this game?
Not a huge chance, but I could see it. Iowa State, they got caught off guard last week. I think a lot of people were high on the Iowa State train. They actually did not look good in their first 2 weeks.
I'll tell you what, Iowa has looked really good.
Iowa's looked really good, but Iowa State barely beat Northern Iowa week 1 as well. They only won that one by 6 points. So their past 2 weeks, you're looking at 1-1 football from Iowa State, in which they beat Northern Iowa by 6, and then they took a 10-point loss at home against Iowa. Here they're going on the road. This kind of reminds me of a Penn State type season last year, where Penn State started off ranked. They started off cream of the crop. They got upset a couple times early on, and they just never recovered. So I look for UNLV to play tough and definitely cover the spread. If not, maybe take this one home tonight.
I know he doesn't make the picks till much later, but I'm looking over here on Bears board on College Game Day. He's got that Florida State Wake Forest game up on his board. He's going to pick that at some time today. Angelo, from my recollection of what the Bear is, he always has a losing record So I'm hoping he takes Wake Forest in that one because if I see him take Florida State, I'm like, oh, you just kissed the death us right there.
There's been a lot of kisses of death this year, huh?
And I really love the Bears content. They've got a podcast that I listen to when I think about it and actually remember it. But man, he's always wildly wrong with college football spreads. He's the guy normally goes 1-2 every week. Every time I see his picks, I go, all right, so I'm not taking that. And even if I was convinced it was a lock, I'm like, all right, so I will not take that game this week. I'm staying away from that. It's kind of like the old, what was the guy's name on ESPN years ago? I still see him pop up every once in a while. I think on CBS Sports.
Hank Greenberg or something.
Hank Greenberg. He still pops. He popped up somewhere last year. He was doing picks. It might have been CBS Sports HQ.
Yep, it was. It was indeed. I remember seeing him
Hammer and Hank. Hammer and Hank. He was always, they always throw up his win-loss total. It's always, he's like 10 games under 500. I'm like, why are we listening to you? But yeah. There, at least I didn't get what I saw about 7 times this past week, where TikTok and other videos of guys going up and making their picks, and they're not doing the spread. They're doing stuff like, I think the Browns are going to beat the Texans on Sunday, and then wait, what? What? You're just picking games? Anyone can do that. Anyone can clearly see Stanford should roll in and beat Vanderbilt tonight, but are they going to cover the spread? Be a man. All right. So now we go to Angelo. So the first 2 stupid underdog picks were Central Michigan, UNLV. Tony had Florida. Where are you going, Angelo?
This is a sod game for Florida State, so I'm taking Florida State Seminoles. Can I say real quick though? I love listening to Tone's voice.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
You were giving your little spiel, and I was just like, I could listen to it before I fall asleep.
Hey, we'll get something set up where I'll, record some recordings that'll help you relax and sleep at night. We'll get that in the works.
All right. Just, Angela, do me a favor and keep your hands where we can see them, okay? This isn't that kind of show yet. Our soul is for sale. So y'all took some of the ones I had my eye on, and I don't want to go too crazy, but I hate taking the really low spreads, because if you take a really low spread, like, what is the point of it? So I think I'm going to give me 1 second. Let me reset here and see. By the way, that Southern Cal, Washington State, that thing has jumped down 2 whole points. Southern Cal is now just a touchdown and a half-point favorite. I think Southern Cal is going to cover that. Normally, when they fire a coach, they come out fired up. That's what I've seen in my past. I didn't come out super prepared for this because doing that game so late last night. Normally, I've got 4 or 5 jotted down. So I'm just going to go with, I'll just go with my heart instead of my mind. I'll take the Michigan State Spartans plus 6.5 to cover in Miami. I think that should be a really low scoring ball game. Miami might win by a touchdown. Michigan State might win by a touchdown, but I like my chances to at least hang in there. So give me Michigan State, give me Sparty winning the game in Miami. And if they get that W, that is going to be a huge, huge win for Michigan State. If they start off 3-0 and Miami is one of their wins, they might be building something there at Michigan State, but we'll find out today. That's a noon kickoff. We're going to run to break. Before we do, I know you have to hop off. Angelo, what is your lock and your walk-off of the day?
I like what you mentioned.
One big thing. I forgot to tell everyone that because all the chaos that was going yesterday. Give me your one big thing.
I was going to say, I don't do locks, but I was going to give you one right now. One big thing is I think, this could be – well, I like that South Carolina game that you were talking about. I'm just not that confident enough to do that, but I think that could be a closer game. As we mentioned earlier, the 30 points, that's a lot. 33, right?
Yeah, it's a 31.5 right now.
31.5.
It really is strange.
I can see. I mean, we've had a great 2 weeks in college football. I could see it being another great week where there's a lot of upsets. There's a lot of games that come down to the wire. So just looking forward to another great week. Next week I'll be going to the Yankee game a week and a half. So looking forward to that as well against the Rays.
Who are they playing that night?
the Rays. It's that last series.
Sweet. Tampa can go in there and eliminate you from the playoffs, baby.
All right.
All right, brother. We'll see you next Saturday. We're going to be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarters. We're going to reset a little bit. When we come back, we are going to be talking the Big Ten, Penn State, Auburn. Keep it locked in here on Dixie Football Nation here on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Mr. Money, will you please escort Mr. Washington off the court? Take him down the block. And if this dreadlock bumberaz even blinks wrong, you lullaby his ass.
You just robbed a house. You have all this great stuff that now belongs to you, but you got this annoying pang of guilt nagging at you. Well, worry no more, because your friends at Cell Block Greeting Cards have the answer for you. Introducing a new line of petty crime thank you cards. Before you smash and grab one of our cards and leave it behind on your next heist. Choose from any of these fine heartfelt cards like,
thank you for the plasma TV.
Or,
thanks for the PlayStation, alcohol, and penny jar.
And,
don't use your toothbrush.
Or limited time, introducing,
I'm still in the house.
And many more sentimental petty crime thank you cards. Available at any back alley, shadowy parking lot, or
Armchair.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Areola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live. Or catch the instant replay.
What do we do? This just got way too complicated.
I've got it. Here's what's going down. Corey, you talk to your team. You guys are going to decline that holding call.
Done.
Yo, wait, but hold on. Hey, Sean, once we break this huddle, you're going to get out there, do some crazy celebration. I'm talking some humpies. Whatever you got to do, you do it.
Okay, I got you.
I'm going to call unsportsmanlike conduct on the celebration, giving the Whites better field position after the kickoff. Coach, I need you to talk to your team about letting them run that kickoff back.
Why would I do that?
Think about it. Defense, special team, it's all one. You let them run that kickback, both your defenses get 6 points.
Nice.
Okay, everyone good here?
Yeah. Nope. Once again, my kicker is getting no love. Oh, shut up, Bill. Your team is in first place. Plus, you're about to get extra point for the PAT.
Yeah, don't be greedy, Bill.
Stop being greedy, Bill. Bill.
Fine.
Bill. Yeah, Bill.
I said fine.
Bill.
Bill.
Yeah, Bill.
You, Bill.
All right, let's do this. Get out there.
Wait a minute. Treson comes in with a very delayed celebration here. Oh, wow. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a... Yeah, there it is. Another...
Armchair.
Yeah, to the ball game. Get caught up with the big stories from around the world in sports in just a few minutes. It's Take Me Out to the Ball Game today, weekdays. Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube. Baseball, football, basketball, whatever's trending in the world of sports, it's on Take Me Out to the Ball Game today in just a few minutes. It drops weekdays. Take Me Out to the Ball Game today on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. Take me out to the ball game.
Let me sum it up. Twitter is stupid, and Instagram is Twitter for people who can't read.
Good morning. Welcome back here to Dixie Football Nation on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube Live. Find us today. Share, like, subscribe. As James Franklin hosting another whiteout game, big game in Happy Valley. And Tones, you got your game face on?
I do got my game face on. I can't wait. This is obviously Penn State's biggest test yet of the year, and it's a whiteout. It's going to make for one hell of a Saturday night. I'm amped. A lot of Penn State people are amped. It's time to prove that Penn State's ready to compete for the Big Ten, and I think this is the year that they do that.
I saw I guess it was on PTI yesterday that Wilbon, he does this every time, and he's making snide comments about the whiteouts, about how he doesn't like it. And I know he's a Northwest grad, but I can't imagine there's a big rivalry there. I don't know what his issue is, but I think they're really cool looking.
Yeah, I think they're really cool as well. The fans love them. The players love them. The atmosphere changes like crazy when a whiteout is occurring. We do them in high school, or we did them in high school. There's high schools that follow suit around the country. A lot of fans love this idea. A lot of young college sports fans love this idea. And a lot of the players like it as well. It amps them up. The coaches don't mind it either. So I don't think that Michael Wilbon should have a problem with it. Maybe he's tired of Northwestern being in the bottom of the barrel and them not being able to come out with an atmosphere as such. But, you know, jealousy is jealousy, and that's an interesting one. We're going to have to uncover some cans of worms on why Wilbon has his hate out for Penn State.
Is it Penn State, or is he just upset that it's white? That's a white out. If it was a blue out, it would be fine for Penn State, but white out, he's not going to accept that. I think it's one of the coolest looks in college football. I don't know how long they've been doing it. They haven't been doing it my whole life, but when they first started doing it, it's a really different look when other teams dress up or other fan bases dress up. There's something that is very in sync with the white pom-pom shaking, the white t-shirts, and the whole, and you're in a dark atmosphere, so the white just really pops onto the screen. So I've always thought it was a really cool look. And I'm not a Penn State fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm like, what? I was like, what is your problem with whiteouts? Good Lord. And there's a lot more ridiculous things that we can address in college football, like the Gator Chomp. Ain't that right, Bobby? That thing's ridiculous.
Whatever.
That thing is ridiculous, man.
Whatever.
Auburn comes in a 5-point underdog. You don't see SEC schools go into outside the conference go in as underdogs, especially Auburn with Auburn's pedigree. Auburn's not supposed to have one of their better teams this year, but that's usually when you have to be worried about Auburn. And so every time they hype up Auburn, they end up stinking. Every time the Auburn is like preseason 19th, that's how they end up in the SEC championship game. So I'm going to be interested. First of all, I'm so glad the Florida State and the Florida games are both going to be over with by the time this game kicks off, so I can solely watch this one. There's a couple other games I'll have my eye on tonight, but this is the one I'm going to be locked in on. I'm hoping for a really exciting game. I'm actually pulling for Penn State because you're not going to get me to pull for anything orange and blue ever. So that's just, that right there, that's in your Bible somewhere. Isn't that right, Bobby?
Whatever. I won't lie. I'll tell you, it was a little bit unorthodox. Actually, it was very, but it was kind of hard to not pull for Florida State a little bit in that Notre Dame game. It was a challenge, and with the whole Mackenzie Milton story and everything.
Well, we'll get you to come over to the dark side eventually.
No chance. I'm good. I'm happy winning over here. I'm happy.
You'll definitely be much better dressed if you.
I'm good. I'll be.
You gotta admit one thing. The Florida Gator colors are terrible. It looks like someone.
I kind of like the blue and orange. There's some stuff we can do with it.
Yeah.
I do. I'll give you this though.
You can mix it.
The Seminoles have better uniforms.
With
you guys do have better uniforms.
Blue and orange is the color of vomit. Let's be honest.
I don't know what vomit what vomit.
Blue and orange, man. Blue and orange is the color of vomit. And you're now.
I don't like orange. I don't like anything. I don't like.
Now
orange.
in college,
I don't like Tennessee.
You will see different colors of vomit. Trust me. And blue and orange, and you're gonna be like, oh, that's what McGee's talking about. Oh,
hopefully, no royal blue. That doesn't sound too good.
It's like, man, stupid screwdrivers mixed with Jumbo shooters. I should have never done that. Tones knows what I'm talking about.
Yep. We call them Jimmy G shots at EIU, the little blue guys, that'll do wonders to you.
And as you're looking over next, you go, oh, who is she? And whoa, oof. Well, how do I get out of this mess? And where am I? This isn't my house. Oh man. Do I wake her up to find out where I'm at, or do I just skedaddle out the door and hope that Uber can figure it out?
Oh my Lord.
Lucky for you, nowadays there's Uber. There was a time where you had to kind of give the nudge and go, hey, can you drop me off in my car? Because I don't know where I'm at. and then you get that awkward drive in where you're like, she's going, is he going to ask me for my phone number or not? And then you have to do that whole Can I get your phone number? And you both know you're lying, that no one's calling anybody. No one even wants to make eye contact.
And that's that.
You eventually grow up and realize you're much better off going as you get to the door, as you're getting to your car, as she's dropping you off, as opposed to going, can I get your number? You go, all right, then I'll see you around. That's a much better way to go at it. That is my life tip for everyone today. That and stay away from the Jello shooters. Okay. That game, it's 5 or is it gone up? Last time I checked, it was 5.
It's still 5. Last time I checked too. And real quick, the first whiteout came in October of 2004 at home against Purdue, and then it turned into an all-stadium whiteout in 2007 against Notre Dame.
Okay, so the timeline was about right in my head. I thought it had only been around about 15 years at the most. Okay, so I feel like other teams were doing stuff like that when they came up with the whiteout, and when they came up with the whiteout, it just knocked everyone away. In other words, there were other teams that were trying to do with the color rush type of things in their stands, and when the whiteout came around for Penn State, it dwarfed anything that anyone else had came up with, because not a lot of teams have white as a primary color is the thing too. And I still say, I don't care what anyone says, Penn State has the best helmets in all of football.
Correct.
There's something cool about that white helmet and the blue stripe, and you know either A, that's Penn State, or I'm at a little league football game. It's one or the other. I either got a really cheap little league team that wouldn't put any decals on, or that's Penn State football. There's correct. I like the clean look. I'll take that over Oregon any day of the week. I'll take it over some of the silly
Maryland.
Yeah, Maryland. I've seen some bad ones from Florida. I still think Florida's best jersey combo is the traditional one where we're just the curse of Gators on the orange helmet.
Do you remember the Gator print jerseys?
Are you talking about the turd jerseys?
If it's the ones that had like the gator skin on it, then yeah.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
And it was turd colored, because
those are bad.
When those came out, we talked about that for weeks on the show. We're like, the gay turds, the turds, they're out there again, man. They're getting them. Yeah, that was. I know what they were trying to do. It was a huge swing and miss. They're trying to get it to look like. First off, you're going to do it. It needs to be a little more green, so it didn't look like the turd. Because it really looked. They look like a bunch of dookies running all over the field. I don't remember who they played that night, but it was a night game, and I remember going, "Oh my god!"
I don't think we've used those jerseys since then. I'm pretty sure we've
can't imagine we would. That was a terrible idea.
Thankfully.
And I don't like Oregon's jerseys, period, because they don't have a jersey. They don't have a traditional jersey. Although
I don't like the bright yellow on them.
But there's nothing they do is traditional, because they'll play 12 games and they'll use 9 different kinds of jerseys. And it's just like, at that point, like, you have no actual.
Oh, have you seen Tulane's jerseys and helmets?
I saw them last year, unless they've changed where they look cartoony.
This week they're doing they're going back to the throwback logo from when they're in the SEC. It's a little like guy in a fighting stance or something. They have really cool jerseys and helmets with the wave and all that.
I'll have to look that up. Florida State played Tulane for several years in the 80s. That was back when FSU was an independent, and so they were constantly trying to find independents to play, which Tulane was. And we don't have time for it today, but I got a wild story where we went to a Florida State Tulane game. I was about 15 with my dad, my grandfather, and the rest of my family, and we got in a brouhaha with some locals in New Orleans, and they figured they had us outnumbered. They didn't know how mean my dad was. I'll just leave it at that. We'll tell that story in the very near future. We don't have time today. That's a funny one. But anyways, I can still hear that guy screaming bloody murder. Gotcha. All right. So real quick, Penn State, Auburn.
Yeah.
What's your prediction? Because one thing that I like the most in this game, of all the numbers I've seen, that over is 52. I think it's going to go way past 52.
Yeah, it could very easily go over 52. I mean, I've been looking at Penn State, and last week they looked really good, although it was against Ball State. It was an efficient passing game from Clifford and Roberson, who combined 22 of 31 for 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. They had 3 ball carriers who amassed over 65 yards on the ground. Kane had 20 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown. Lee had 8 carries, 68 yards. Clifford himself had 11 for 66 and a touchdown. Even Ford added 6 for 32. So their ground game's been explosive. Their defense has been explosive. They had 2 more interceptions and a sack last week, of course, led by Porter Jr., who always seems to, get in the middle of something every game, damn near. Last game, he almost had a sideline altercation, got in the face of some other players and whatnot. And it's the whiteout game. I'm going with the mid-scoring one for Penn State's standards. I'm going with Penn State 34, Auburn 26. I think Penn State gets a big whiteout win tonight.
Wow. Bobby, what say you in the Penn State Auburn game?
I'm gonna take Penn State as well, but I think it'll be a little bit of a closer margin. I'll say 35-31 Penn State. Bo Nix.
So you'd be willing to take Auburn plus the points?
Let's see what's the spread.
Bo Nix,
I would.
Bo Nix did not look great last week. Not to cut you off, Bobby,
since he came there. Bo Nix starting quarterback at Auburn because his dad played at Auburn, and that's where it all comes down to.
Bo Nix only went 8 of, he did not do that good last week. And he hasn't really played too many challenging teams yet this year. 2 pretty easy teams to start their season. So that'll be interesting amongst itself. But I think Penn State's coming ready for Bo Nix and that Auburn O.
I do like Jarquez Hunter though on the ground for Auburn. 15.1 yards per carry. That's the big number.
He had 8 for 147 and a tutty last week. That's efficiency if you ever see it. But it's going to be a battle of the behemoths, as Penn State's run defense has been pretty impressive to this point. So something has to give. Will it be Hunter or will it be the Penn State run defense?
All right, I'm going to take Penn State to win. I do think they cover the spread, but not by a whole lot. I'm staying away from the spread because I could see this coming down to a field goal. But I think Penn State probably wins this. My guess is going to be somewhere. You always get goofy scores when you get big games like this. Guys going for 2 and whatnot. So I'll go ahead and throw it out there. 35. We'll say 35-30 right there on the spread line. I don't feel comfortable with them covering. I also don't feel comfortable with grabbing with Auburn because it could be a touchdown game. But I think Penn State finds a way in the whiteout. And I just assume Bo Nix is going to choke and Bo Nix is going to do something really stupid. And then everyone will say, he's learning. And then we'll be back to square one come Monday morning with this. Let's go through some other games, get some predictions, some thoughts on the spread. Michigan State plus 6.5. We talked about it for a blip here a second ago at Miami. Michigan State, the over-under is 57. Tones, what say you?
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Michigan State to cover in this one, 6.5. They've looked impressive. Miami has not looked impressive to this point either. Over-under is I like the under in this one, honestly. I don't see a lot of offense coming out of this game, but I do see Michigan State perhaps beating Miami, but keeping it very close this one. I have my eyes on a couple other Big Ten games, but this one highlighted that sheet alongside the Penn State game, of course. But I'm interested to see what Michigan State could do. I think they do cover. I had that game written down, actually, as one of my 3 Big Ten bets that I like today.
What say you, Bobby?
I got Michigan State winning this game. I haven't liked what I've seen from Miami whatsoever. There's no reason to believe they'll win this game. So yeah, I got Michigan State winning. I think they'll win. I'll say 24-19.
I figure the football gods just hate me right now in college football, so I'm going to assume Miami's going to win this game. But I don't think they're going to cover the spread. I think it's going to be a really close game. I also think it's going to be a lower scoring game.
Yeah.
With it being an early kickoff, it's usually sluggish. College kids, you can't get them out of bed. Ain't that right, Bobby? I just figured that they're going to be just barely wiping the sleepies out of their eyes and go, It's halftime. What the hell? So I think the score is going to be lower than what they're calling for. I'll take Miami to win but not cover. We'll say something like 24-20, and it'll be a slugfest in the first half. Next game, this is another noon kickoff. Real quick, though, we don't need a deep dive on this one because I don't think it's going to be close. But as Oklahoma covered the spread, it's a 23-point spread. Oklahoma, Nebraska. Tones, what say you?
I actually think Nebraska covers. I think Nebraska hangs on and actually covers this one. Oklahoma's been up and down, but I think Nebraska, they have to play big sometimes. It's sometime against a big opponent with Scott Frost. Now or never, I think Nebraska covers.
Bobby, what say you?
I think they'll cover as well. I think it'll be very close to the line, though. Oklahoma, they didn't do it last week, but week 1 you saw them kind of play down to Tulane. I don't think Nebraska is a very good team, but I think they'll keep it closer than what the line says.
I guess I'm in the minority here. I think Oklahoma's going to boat race them. It's in Norman. This was a big rivalry for years. It's one that I really miss. I really wish that they would make this a yearly tradition like it used to be back when they were in the same conference. This used to be the game in the 80s, and it was even a fairly decent game into the mid 90s. And of course, in the 70s, everyone talks about what they call the game of the century. Of course, there's like 17 of those in the 20th century. But I think Nebraska's not going to be able to stop Spencer Rattler, and I question whether we see the same thing as the Nebraska offense year after year after year, where they just look stagnant. They don't have a lot of imagination. And honestly, I think it's going to be 22-23. Nah, I think they could win by 30. 2:30 kickoff. Purdue heads to the Fighting Irish in Notre Dame. And I know your brother's heading to that game.
I'll be there too, actually.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm I'm not a Notre Dame guy, but my old man and my brother are. It's kind of a family and friend tradition to go to one Notre Dame game a year. I'm a Big Ten homer. Not that I'll be cheering like crazy for Purdue or, against Notre Dame, but I just want to see some good football. And I think Purdue could cover that 8-point spread.
Bobby, what say you?
I think Purdue covers that spread as well. And I think they honestly could win this game. I don't have much faith at all in Notre Dame. They've kept it very close with the first 2 teams they played. I thought Florida State keeping close was maybe just a result of them being better than we expected, but then they followed it up by losing to Jacksonville State. So I don't think Notre Dame is as good as their ranking says, and I think not only does Purdue cover, I think they have a good shot to win this game.
You know the old saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none, right? Notre Dame tries to play that 2 quarterback system out there. It did not look pretty last week.
I think Notre Dame is going to win this game. If I had to pick it, I would take Notre Dame minus the points. This week, they have a full week to prepare. I know what you're saying with Florida State, but Florida State's better than that Jacksonville State loss. They may not be as good as hanging in with Notre Dame. That might have been a lot of emotion that got them going in that. I think Florida State's somewhere in between. Florida State's going to beat someone that everyone's going to be shocked that they beat this year. Florida State's also going to continue to lay eggs, right? You're going to be like, what in the heck am I watching? You're spotting dimes, you're eating onions. I don't know what the hell to believe anymore. So I think Notre Dame probably wins by about 10. But I don't feel comfortable enough. I didn't feel comfortable like I did last week when I felt like Notre Dame on short rest was not going to cover Toledo. That one I felt very good about. I don't feel comfortable about this one. And the over-under is interesting, 58.5. Notre Dame runs the ball a lot for it to get to 58.5. But I just don't have a strong feeling across the board in this game. Clemson, Georgia Tech, nobody cares. That's going to be an absolute just dumpster fire. Florida, Alabama, real quick. Alabama, 14.5-point favorite. Tones, do they cover?
I think that they do not cover, and I don't know. I just don't think that it's going to be a close game. I'm thinking 21 plus, perhaps. I hope I'm wrong though, because
so they are going to cover.
I'm sorry. What was your exact question? I was reading something.
Is Bama going to cover the 14.5-point spread?
Yes. I'm sorry. They are going to cover. I thought you asked if Florida was going to cover.
Gotcha.
I think that Bama is going to cover the spread, and I always take against Bama in these type of spreads, and it bites me in the butt. So today I'm going opposite. I'm betting with Bama, and I'm taking the minus points. I'm taking the points they're given. It's going to be one of those games where Bama just, kind of keeps scoring here and there, gets a few turnovers here and there. And to me, before you know it, it could be a 30-point game and really lopsided. Again, I hope that's not the case, and I hope I'm wrong completely here, but I just don't see Bama having too many problems today.
Bobby, what say you?
Like I was going to earlier, if Anthony Richardson starts, I think we have every shot to win this game. I don't think we will. I think we'll cover the spread, but I don't think we'll win. I like having home advantage against Bama this week. But really all I can ask for is that we get Anthony Richardson as many snaps as possible, because I think it's pretty clear that he's a better quarterback in that group.
I think this is a sucker bet. I think they're trying to sucker people into taking Florida plus 14.5 because of all the things that are going on. Remember something, Florida hasn't played anybody yet. They've played two absolute dumpster fires of programs. Okay. So they haven't been tested at all this year. So we don't really know what Florida is. So we don't know if that defense has improved, or is it what we probably assume that South Florida and FAU are just garbage and anybody could stop them. Alabama has been tested. They did play Miami, so at least they have played a Division I school with good athletes. I think Alabama they could probably name their score, but I don't think it'll be like that. I think Alabama, I see it much higher scoring though. I see Alabama 52, Florida somewhere around, I'll say 35. So as a 17-point win, but Florida could backdoor this. I don't like the point spread at all. I like more of the over in the over under. Let me see, grab one more game and then we'll go ahead and try to wrap this up.
I see in our chat someone said Bo Nix is trash, like we were referring to.
Yeah, he's not good, man. You think you know who he is? He's a modern day Chris Ricks. If anyone remembers Chris Ricks at Florida State, this incredible athlete that everyone kept saying, yeah, but if he just does this and he just does that, he can turn around and go. But he's not going to do that. He's going to keep throwing stupid interceptions. He's an incredible athlete that just never had to work hard, never had to be in the film room much, so he can run around and whatnot, has a cannon for an arm, but he never gets it right. He never gets it right. One last game before we jump to everything else as we walk out of here. Let's take a late game. This one interests me a lot. I doubt I'll be up watching it, but hell, who knows? 10:15 Eastern kickoff. Arizona State and the Fighting Herm Edwards travel to Provo to take on the BYU Cougars. Arizona State's a 3.5-point favorite. 50.5 is the over under. I love the under in this game. His games, Herm Edwards, are traditionally, he takes the life out of the ball. Remember that just brutal game. I don't remember if that was, I guess it had to have been 2 years ago because you didn't have out of conference games last year, where Arizona State and Michigan State played. And like, it was like a low over under. And I, like an idiot, I took the over. It was like 40. And I was like, oh, they'll get to 40. And like the total score was like 17-9 or something terrible like that. I love the under in this game. BYU, Arizona State -3.5. I think BYU could shock them, but I don't feel that comfortable with it. What say you, Tones?
I was thinking about picking BYU, my underdog, but I didn't think that was, appropriate. Only 3.5 points. I like to go big or go home in our silly underdog game. So that's what I did there. But I do like BYU actually to win this game, if I'm being honest. Like you said, Arizona State, they have that traditional style of football type, especially under Coach Herm Edwards, who, has a team ready to play week in and week out, but they don't put up a crazy amount of points. And I do think that BYU sneaks by with a close victory in this one. I think it's going to be a hell of a night game, a very close game. I think fans are in for a treat, but I see BYU sneaking away and not only covering the spread, but pulling off the money line as well.
What say you, Bobby?
It's going to be tough on the road for Arizona State, which gives them a disadvantage, I'd say. But I do like Jaden Daniels. And I think they'll etch out a close one. The spread is tricky though, because if it's going to be a close game, I think BYU could pull within 3.5. I think it could be a field goal. It could come down to a field goal, honestly. So I'm not going to say confidently if I think they'll cover, but I think Arizona State will win this game.
So, Tones, what is your lock of the day?
Well, last week I remember I walked off with, and a lot of people agreed, but I walked off with Oregon, winning over Ohio State. That was my biggest takeaway, or at least hanging with Ohio State. So I'll say today, if I had to pick one lock of the day I like Cincinnati -4 at Indy. Cincinnati's been looking really good. They're joining the Power Five, so they're probably all sorts of hyped up, that football program. This has been perhaps their best football days since Brian Kelly was their head coach and Tony Pike was their quarterback. So Cincinnati's going to wheel and deal. They're only dropping 4 at Indiana today. And although Indiana covered against Idaho last week, Idaho had so many chances of being in that football game and covering that spread that I think Indiana was a little overranked headed into the year. And I think Cincinnati is my lock of the day today. I love them only dropping 4 points at Indiana.
All right, so Cincinnati -4 is Tone's lock of the day. I've already given mine, which was South Carolina +31.5. I just feel like, what the heck? I mean, I'm going to take a risk on that. That's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points.
If we can get to a low-scoring first half, like Georgia's up 10-0 at the half, I'll feel really good about that. Bobby, what is your lock of the day?
My lock of the day is Chattanooga versus Kentucky at the over of 46.5. Kentucky's been lighting up the field the past 2 weeks. I don't think it'll be a shootout type of game where, it comes down to the wire and they're having to go back and forth. But I can pull it up real quick. It is – here's the SEC. Didn't look at the time. Just got the name written down. I think it's a fairly early game. It's 11 a.m. Central Time.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's in Kentucky. So,
gotcha. All right.
So I have the over on 46.5 total points. Like I said, Kentucky, they've just been lighting it up. And I don't think it'll be close, but I think a lot of points will be scored this game, specifically by Kentucky, and I think they'll cover that.
It seems really strange that line is that low. That's why I'm trying to figure that out.
So I picked it.
Kentucky's almost got that themselves the past 2 weeks. Last week they put up 35. The week before they put up 45. I'm gonna be on that one with you, Bobby. I'm gonna be on that one with you.
I'm gonna pull up and see if I can find. For some reason, it's not even on my board.
I see it on my board, and it's the same number that Bobby was saying. So I'm about to hop all over that.
Yeah.
That is so odd. What is the spread in that? Like -45? Yeah, 47.5 is what I have, -32. So they think they think Kentucky's only going to score. Man, I wish that was on my board because I'd like to have the total on Kentucky, if nothing else. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a steal.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Maybe it'll pop up on my board later. Sometimes they add games as we get later in the day. All right, what is your one big thing that's going to happen, Tones?
This week, one big thing that's going to happen is the whiteout wonders continue. I think that Penn State walks off triumphant tonight, and I think they're actually getting the Big Ten respect that they deserve after a lot of hard-fought years. And it's kind of funny because Penn State is 500 all time in whiteout games, but it's always against top of the line opponents, and they always play really well. The past couple of years, they've played extraordinary in whiteout games. They've been keeping it close against ranked opponents all the time, if not beating them. So I do think today they earned the win. In 2019, they beat 16 ranked Michigan in a whiteout game. In 2018, they lost to number 4 ranked Ohio State only by 1. In 2017, they killed 19 ranked Michigan 42-13. The year before that, they beat number 2 ranked Ohio State in the whiteout game. So I don't see anything different happening here. I think that after today, people are going to be turning heads and being like, is Penn State the team to beat in the Big Ten?
Bobby, what is your one big thing for today?
I don't want to bet against Bama, but you know what? I'm going to say it. I'm going to speak it into reality, hopefully. Anthony Richardson, he's going to start, and he's going to go out there and shock the world. I'm telling you, I know we played FAU and Florida State, or not Florida State, sorry, USF.
You might as well have.
Might have been easier on us. We played you guys.
From what I saw of USF, you might as well play the Florida School of the Blind that's right down the road here in St. Augustine.
Any Florida school, honestly,
terrible.
Any Florida school would have been fine for us. But yeah, honestly, I'm not trying to, put too much hope into this, but I want to speak into reality. Anthony Richardson is going to get the start, and I'm going to say it. We're going to go out and win that game. And speak into reality.
That would be a big thing. My one big thing for today, it's a 3:30 kickoff. It's going to get kind of lost in the mix with everything else. Southern Cal Trojans, I think they're going to come out and dominate Washington State. I think they're going to blow their doors off. I almost took that as my lock. Southern Cal's, usually when you lose a coach and you lose a game you should not have lost, the team comes out motivated and wants to play for the coach that is stepping in. It's obviously an interim, their coordinator. These guys are out there still trying to get NIL deals. These guys, some of them may want to transfer. Some of them may want to see if they can attract a big name coach, which I do believe Southern Cal is going to bring someone off of either the NFL or a proven college football coach. And it really is stupid on their part that they didn't do what they should have done, which I suggested 4 years ago when he started faking heart attacks at Ohio State. Southern Cal should have backed the truck up, fired Helton in December, and went out and grabbed Urban Meyer. And Urban Meyer, if you're listening right now, he's going, yes, they should have. I have gotten in way over my head. I am not a good football coach. I could recruit like hell, but I'm not a good football coach.
I think Southern Cal, I think they're actually looking at Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator.
That's the one I keep hearing, and that's not a bad fit at all. My only question is, does Bieniemy want to go college? Does he not want to stay in pro? The problem with Bieniemy,
I want him on my pro team. Goodness, I want him to be my coach.
The reason why Bieniemy keeps getting overlooked is evidently he's a terrible interview.
Yeah, that's what they say.
I've
but really, I don't.
It doesn't help
really
either. It doesn't help either that Bieniemy, he's always in the playoffs and Super Bowl too. So, other teams just want to make their other hires and get their teams in line right away in the off season, and Bieniemy's still coaching. As like you guys said, he is not. I heard his interviewing skills might be a little weak as well, but Chiefs always are playing long, at least the past couple seasons. So
there's also that belief that he's not doing it. He's just kind of being facilitated through what Andy Reid has done for 3 decades now. Right. So
Matt Nagy ain't helping that case.
No, look, if someone doesn't he at least deserves a shot. I don't care what his interviewing skills are. He's obviously doing big things in Kansas City, but then again, he does have Mahomes. He's not doing it with, the Red Rocket, right? So it's kind of like when they're like, oh no, I didn't think I thought Phil Jackson could coach, but evidently he sucks when he doesn't have Michael Jordan and or Kobe Bryant on his roster, right? So it's
and Shaq,
right? Well, yeah,
probably,
and for a few years, and then he got even fatter and still couldn't hit free throws. I used to laugh at people and say, he's one of the top 5 centers of all time. No, he won't be. You just watch the way it all plays out. You're stuck in a vacuum. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. If you guys could hang on here after the show, because I got to talk to y'all real quick about tomorrow's show. It's a lot easier to do it on Zoom than it is all this other junk. So for everyone here this morning, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next Saturday here, and tomorrow morning we'll be here 10 a.m. Eastern for the handicappers, 10 a.m. to noon, where all the guys will give their take on fantasy and real football lines.